Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to another golden lineup. So I've picked up a few of the lower rank premium vehicles when the Victory Day sale was on. You can see my new Su-57, which is an American Lend-Lease half-track with the 57mm, what is it, a 6-pounder or something like that, British style cannon. So very interesting vehicle. You don't see a lot of the British 57mm in other tech trees where people have the good sense to give it armor piercing high explosive ammunition, and that makes the Su-57 one of those interesting vehicles to play. And right away you'll notice that even at a 2.3 battle rating where you often see zippy vehicles, the Su-57 is very nimble. Its acceleration and top speed are good. Its traverse at low speeds is absolutely terrible because of its half-track design. So you definitely want to, as we capture the zone quickly here, you definitely want to be moving forward while you are traversing. You see here just a neutral traverse is impossible with this vehicle, so that's something to keep in mind. Also, this has essentially no armor, so that is both an advantage and disadvantage. The gun handling is nothing to speak of. This really isn't designed to be a close-in vehicle. It's not made for city fights, and I am not playing it properly. You can see that with only 5 degrees of gun depression, you don't really have a chance to aim down other than downhill if you're already facing downhill. Take that, stop sign. You don't tell me what to do. When your life gives you lemons, you make beef stew. So we heard an enemy tank here. We're trying to find him. We were listening. You can hear him off to our left if you're careful. And we were not the only ones who were listening, as he must have heard me shooting that sign. I done goofed. That Panzer IV F2 is certainly a player with decent tactical awareness. Okay, what other premium vehicle should I play now? You might notice Pokrishkin's P39 is at a 3.0, which is going to cause us to get into 4.0 up tiers, which means that the 2.3 Su-57 is not going to do all that well. Even against a Panzer IV F2, which I think is still at the ridiculously low battle rating of 3.3 in realistic. It's a bit overmatched, but definitely not something that's difficult to overcome if you're willing to play the vehicle defensively, and that's really what the Su-57 is built for. But we died. We're no longer in that half track, so let's talk about something else. I definitely love this, what is this, a Lag 337, something like that. It has the long-barreled, rapid-fire Soviet 37mm cannon. As you see, we pick up a few quick critical hits on enemy tanks there, and that's what I absolutely love about this aircraft. It has that punchiness, it has that ability to perform precision strikes on enemy ground targets and stay in the fight, being a nuisance, being active, and affecting the ground combat. I love cannon casts. It's a lot of fun, and the rapid fire and reasonable accuracy of the 37 on this airplane makes it a lot of fun, as well as I think somewhere in the area of 100mm armor pen. So if you play your cards right, no issues dealing critical damage to enemy vehicles, although taking them down can be a small bit challenging on account of the low ammo count of this gun and the somewhat lesser fire rate when compared with, say, the Machine Kanone 103s in the German vehicles. Speaking of, we take our shot at penning the front of that Stug, and I don't think it's going to happen. That looks like the 4.0 Stug that has the 80mm plates on the front, so not likely to punch through from this angle. We took a little bit of ground fire from a whirlwind, but managed to survive. And again, we're sort of feeling our battle rating here. It was probably a mistake for me to include a 3.0 aircraft in my lineup, especially since that aircraft is not going to see combat at all. I'm just not interested in playing the P-39N right now. It is one of the strongest 3.0 fighters in the game, and it's a lot of fun. I'm just not focusing on anti-cast today, so that's not really gonna work out for this lineup. Oh my gosh, I have had a crazy morning. You know, sometimes I stayed up late. Ooh, nice kill on the Stug there. That is the proper way to take one down, as we do a little bit of a diving roll there, which just gives us enough altitude loss and axial dispersion to avoid. You like those fancy words, don't you? Yeah, I'll give you some more of that. To avoid enemy ground fire. As we are aware, there's a whirlwind in the area. We're keeping our altitude low. We're trying to be nimble and a difficult target to hit when we get above treetop level. And if you were watching closely, there's an enemy that spawned in to the right in the air, and we're going for this guy here. Looks like a heavy bomber, Heinkel 111, and that is a beautiful shot to his engine with the 37. Nicely led there by Toshio Thunder. Oh wait, that's me. Yeah, I like that one. I know a little bit of replay reference there, as we get shot up a bit, and our tail is just taking every single hit. Why is it always the tail with you people? And I haven't talked about the downsides of this plane yet, but you are seeing them. Its roll rate is much more sluggish than you want a single engine fighter's roll rate to be, and its general handling is a bit sluggish as well on account of how heavy that 37mm weapon system is in the nose. On top of that, engine overheat is a thing, and WEP is not available, and we are about to get shredded to pieces by, yes, that's a ME-410 who shot off our tail controls, so we are going straight into the ground. That heavy 37mm just pulling us down to our fate. Oof. Well, I haven't played the I-29 like at all, so let's take a look at this airplane. It's a heavy fighter. It has a good amount of engine power, and it has some fairly decent weaponry as well. A couple of 20mm with 120 rounds each. Those are useful against both air and ground targets at this battle rating, and I prefer the ground targets or armored targets belts because I've just had better luck with the armor piercing effect of the, what are they, Shvak or Shkas? I can't remember which one it is. 20mm than I've had with the high explosive. The Russian high explosive 20 mils just don't seem to be all that punchy, and it is nice to be able to have that ground attack potential in the form of its rather good armor piercing effect. So my day today, I was exhausted. I stayed up way too late last night. I played some D&D and or actually Pathfinder, and that was a lot of fun as we take down the cannon breach on whatever the heck that was. Was that the martyr? Yeah, I think we made a martyr out of him anyway. There's the ME-410, so we are in a good position here. He's not focusing on us, so we pop the flaps, and look at the nimbleness of this heavy fighter. So I played some Pathfinder last night, tabletop board game. Actually, it was almost a web browser board game, as we get lots of hits into that 410 and then finally take him down. You can see the firepower that this thing has. It's just ridiculous. And I was playing some Pathfinder with a group of lads on another Discord last night, and it was a lot of fun. We got into a campaign that maybe I'll talk about at some point in the near future. I do love talking about Pathfinder with you guys, but that's one of those things that takes its own video. And I just stayed up way too late, and I'm paying for it today. Like, I'm all dehydrated and groggy. I got this tension headache, and on top of that, I know, it's just my casual whining. I know, I'm a wuss. Looks like a BF-109. We're low on energy. He's at a much higher energy state, but we really don't have any chance other than to try and get this guy to maneuver a bit. This is not a good situation. He's very aware of us. I was hoping to be able to get a chance to get the guns on target and rip him up from below, but that looks like it's not going to be possible. Now we're going to have to go into a stall fight if we can. Just try and use our low-speed maneuverability, and yet another airplane comes in. Looks like another BF-109. That is definitely not the news I was looking for. So I'm getting attacked by two of these girls now, which is exactly what was happening IRL earlier today, and I've just been swamped by my two daughters who both want all of my attention and require my help with pretty much every daily task, especially the newborn, who of course requires me to clean her up and things because she is a baby. 4 months old. I guess I should stop calling her a newborn, but she still seems pretty new to me. Anyway, we're just getting tore up here, and that's how I was feeling by the time I got these two girls to finally fall asleep. We try to outturn the BF-109, but there's really not much you can do. That was an F4, which is a 4.0 aircraft, and I'm thinking, why am I facing a 4.0 here? And then I looked, and I see that I have the P-39 in my lineup, so that was my mistake. I definitely, well, first off, I should have respawned in it, and secondly, I shouldn't have that in this 2.7 lineup. That's a bit more than my other vehicles can handle. So if you see me taking something of a long pause in between respawns here, it's not because I'm tearing my hair out. It's not because I'm complaining on the forums. It's probably because I have a toddler climbing up onto my chest, putting her eyes right in my face, and telling me what she expects out of me. And she was asking for a lot of candy today. I think I gave her something sweet this morning. What was it? Oh, I can't remember. And then she kept asking for cookies. She'll just like get right up in my face and go, "Cookie? Cookie? Cookie?" So I negotiated with her and I gave her some crackers instead. And they're just like they're like Ritz crackers. They're a butter cracker, nice and hearty and crunchy and salty. So that's good for the little one. She burns so much energy in a day. She doesn't have to worry about things like empty carbs. But I also don't want to fill her stomach with sugar either. She asks for sugar specifically, and it's super cute. She's like, "Shuggy? Shuggy?" Ah, I love it. And then when I tell her no, she starts asking for grandma. She knows already. Fire one, fire two. And there you see the most fun part of driving the M3. And that is that you can do just silly, ridiculous stuff like that every now and then. And the 75 and the M3 at a 2.7 battle rating is actually really strong. The American 75 mil, with its plenty of high explosive filler on the armor piercing round, is absolutely fantastic. And we decide to try and be sneaky here. We can hear someone off to our left, so we leave the cap zone to try and chase him down. And I know there's a tank off to a bit more of our left here, so I'm focusing, but then I hear, and there it is, a Japanese tank, and he's got eyes on us. We get the shot off. It goes right through the middle of his hull and just manages to miss the gunner. He gets a nice one into our engine compartment, killing a good number of our crew, including, unfortunately, my gunner. We got one more shot with the 37 here. If we can just manage to reload, of course he beats us on that one. So that was truly disappointing. That is one of the downsides of the American 37mm that's mounted in the turret of the M3, is it just doesn't have that post-pen damage that you need in a lot of those. What the heck are you doing here? Enemy AA Sonderkraftfahrzeug just pointing in our direction. He wisely backs away. We managed to take down his gunner, and one of the downsides of the Su-37 is that you have a difficult time lining up your gun just because of the chassis of this thing. A few more hits into the enemy Sonderkraftfahrzeug and firing blind into the smoke left by that enemy plane that was strafing us, we end up having no luck. So we're going to need to reposition. If it's a one-on-one fight, I don't have a ton of confidence in my Su-37 to survive. And apologies if I'm calling these things out with the wrong names. It's been a while since I played my Soviets in general, and I gotta say, low-tier Soviets are so much fun. And also, the T-34-85, the KVs, all of the KVs, really. The IS series of tanks as we take down that Sonderkraftfahrzeug. That's always satisfying. I think that's the 37mm wielding SDKFZ. Oh, hello there. Really? Really? That's just like that scene out of Pulp Fiction where the guy jumps out of the closet and just unloads on those, what is it? Oh, geez, I can't remember actors' names anymore. Samuel L. Jackson and not Nicolas Cage. What's his name? Can you imagine a Pulp Fiction remake with Nick Cage? That would be so funny. Who would play Samuel L. Jackson's character? It's got to be somebody just totally, we don't have the gun depression to take down that Sonderkraftfahrzeug. But a shot that's just short or under lead there takes down his engine, and in the smoke we managed to take out his crew after he pops his smoke grenades. So that was kind of him. Another enemy on the horizon, and we take him down. And here you see just the incredible area denial power of the Su-57. So that is a very helpful feature of this vehicle. And honestly, long-range area denial operations is what this vehicle was really meant for. At least in terms of the game, that's the way you should play this thing. Unfortunately, this is low tier. So at rank 1 and 2, the majority of enemy players are in very nimble medium or light tanks with Panzer IIIs, Panzer II, the American M5s and M4s, and they will quickly inundate the battle line, outflank you, and take you down if you're so foolish as to stay in one place or to not position yourself in a way to prevent that from happening. So unlike higher tier game or higher tier matches, you might find yourself overwhelmed by the Zerg rush of enemy players a little bit more often, and we can't quite get eyes on target on that Martyr 3, which is too bad, and it puts us in a sticky pickle. So there are enemies all over this flank as the incoming fire from our right side lets us know rather well, and we managed to survive that shot. This is just suicidal gameplay here. We would have gotten the kill on him there, but our cannon barrel got taken down just at the last second as we eat round after round into our basically unarmored half-track, and eventually getting taken down, as you see, by the Panzer III. Overall, this has not been the best look at the Su-57, so let's make it about this golden lineup. It really is a great series of vehicles, with the Soviet aircraft being fun, wonky, multi-purpose vehicles that can perform in a variety of capacities just depending upon the tactics you choose to employ. The ground vehicles are, again, odd, varied, and of course, because this is low tier, they're also fairly cheap. So these vehicles, this 2.7, I really should make it a 2.7 lineup by taking that P39 out. In fact, for the next battle, that's what I'm going to do. This lineup is a lot of fun. We haven't even gotten to the one non-premium vehicle. Is it the only one that's non-premium? I think so. The IL-2, and the early IL-2s at a very low battle rating are also a barrel full of laughs. They're really fun vehicles. We could almost take that guy down with our MGs if we want to. Looks like some kind of armored car. From the camo scheme, I'd say that's Italian, also from the frying pan turret it has there. So let's do a nice vertical loop, and you can see sort of the sluggishness of this plane, especially at lower speeds. Open up with the Dushka and take him down. So at the cost of a few 37s and a handful of 12, holy Jesus, what was that? Sonderkraftfahrzeug with a fantastic shot, roll out the barrel. He has one hell of an aim. So let's take out the IL-2. Now I know there's a very experienced AA player in the game, and you can see I gave him the props that he is due. So we're going to get low altitude as soon as possible, and we're going to try and stay low because that enemy Sonderkraftfahrzeug player is very good at aiming. We were featuring a half-track earlier, and he shows us a half-track that can deal a lot of damage to enemy air targets. It's not quite so good against ground vehicles because not only does it have, well, relatively poor vehicle handling when compared especially with the American half-tracks that have a bit more horsepower, I believe, but also its gun is not able to depress over the cabin because of the way it's laid out, so you have to attack with the booty backing into combat if you expect to attack ground targets with that thing. So he is focusing on anti-air, and we got some great hits into that Stuka. Just about to take him down as the guns start to converge, and guess what? We get killed by that same guy again. Even on top of that, we didn't get a kill or a kill assist credit for the Stuka, whose landing gear we blew off. I mean, come on, he wasn't going to go home after that. You can see in our next match, we didn't have any kind of good results in the Su-57, and it really comes down to the fact that I took an aggressive forward overwatch position, and my team was not in place to back me up, which is my fault. I definitely overextended there. I'm not about to start blaming my team for my tactical mistake in that situation. So we have replaced our P39 with the T126, which is a very fun premium. This available for Golden Eagles throughout the year, as far as I'm aware, is basically a prototype T-34 with that 45mm cannon you see on most of the rank 1 tanks for the USSR, and it really does play like a rapid-fire T-34, so a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun, it's always nice to get a kill with the artillery, and this is sort of bad news. You can see we've loaded up APCR because we expect to face a lot of vehicles that will have difficulty penetrating, and this Sherman 105 is a perfect example of why that was a good idea. As a Cromwell comes out of nowhere, instructing us that our decision to carry APCR was foolish in the extreme, lad. We still managed somehow to avoid the stern gaze of Sean Connery and his interested looks toward our transmission and get ourselves into a knife fight with an M5, M4, not sure, and that Sherman 105, who has probably repaired his breach. Yep, he's definitely repaired his breach by now, but his either that was high explosive or heat round gets eaten mostly by our fuel tank, but still manages to deal damage to our cannon breach, which takes us out of this fight. At this point, the only thing I can do is hope they won't boondock saint me, and they boondock sainted me. The two of them executing me at point blank range with extreme prejudice. I called for backup from my team, and obligingly one of my teammates came to help out, but it was already too late, and I do fear that he did not survive that encounter, but I can only hope that justice can be had at some point. Somebody take down that Sherman 105. They're so strong. They're such a good tank, and honestly, they make sense of the battle rating they're in. they just happen to have a lot more armor than you want your enemy tank to have, especially with the good mobility of a medium tank. And there are some downsides to the Sherman 105, but it's one of those vehicles that is very effective in the hands of an experienced player, and that shows with how popular it is in these battles. Here we are once again in the Red Menace. This is a vehicle that I have not spent much time in at all, and I certainly spent enough time grinding for it. I might as well get some enjoyment out of the thing. We have a multitude of ground targets available to us. Looks like an LVT, as I actually had a difficult time getting the nose on target. We were starting to fly quite fast there, as you can see. Enemy aircraft up, so we're going to have to deal with him. I don't have the energy to take him down, as we're clearly taking fire from our rear from what turns out to be an enemy P-36. The the USA rank 1 aircraft are quite good. The P-36G by no means being an exception. Really good ability to produce energy, not the best energy efficiency, but a good turn rate to go along with it, make it a very versatile fighter and a worthy foe. And what shall we fly out against the Allied menace other than the early IL-2? And the IL-2 received an update to its flight model recently, and you are definitely going to see the effect of that over the course of the next few minutes. This video is starting to wind down, and my girls are also starting to wake up, so it looks like I'm just about out of free time as well. So enjoy watching this IL-2 dogfight that's about to ensue. You can see our enemy, the P-36G, below us, focusing on this low-flying engagement. He's now targeted the Ki-21, who doesn't stand a dang chance against the guy, the poor bastard. And now we're just deciding when to dive on the P-36. He can outperform us fairly quickly as the IL-2 bleeds energy like crazy, but my advantage is my load speed maneuverability, which could be just enough if I play my cards just right to take this guy down. Trying to get the guns on target in the dive there, and he's going to be able to sneak out from our gaze by going below us. He's on fire. This is not so much a contest as an execution at that point, as he gets finished off and we don't even get credit for a kill assist. That's okay. It's not like I'm bitter. So let's go after some ground targets. That was not the dogfight that I was looking for. There's another one coming up at some point. One of our rockets, and you can see the dispersion on them is fairly significant. There was an update quite a while ago that added a certain level of dispersion to rockets that reduces their efficiency quite a bit. It's very reasonable. Rockets used to be like laser beams, and now we come in for the bombs and just missed that tree. Managed to pick up a light tank kill. The M22, it's always nice to see a Locust die. They are a very effective enemy tank. I almost said aircraft. They do have an aircraft engine. Shots on the M10 or shots on the Sherman 105 just because we can. Not really expecting to get anything out of that, but there's always a chance we could get a lucky one through the engine deck or the turret top. Spotting the little tiny small British boy there, we open up and we hit him as hard as we possibly can. I'm sorry, little one. It had to be done. Now we're going to try and re-find the little fella who's hiding behind a tree, and our 20 mils just punch right through his very inadequate armor. That tank not designed to take a hit. We hear an aircraft, and that is bad news. I was trepidatious about facing that P-38 when I had an energy advantage, and now I'm facing an Allied fighter when I definitely am at a disadvantage with another Allied aircraft above me at some point. I didn't get a good eye on what he is. We definitely can't follow that fighter, so we dip our nose down to pick up some speed, It looks like that's another P-38 diving on us, so this is going to be a fight and a half, I tell you. Not going to be an easy one, and thankfully I have some more Allied aircraft in the air. But that's not going to save me if I don't play my cards right. So we managed to duck out of the way of that enemy fighter, who doesn't seem to be focusing on us, but instead going for the easier kill of the Ju-87. It used to be that the Stuka was a dogfighting master, but it has also received an upgrade or an update to its flight model that was not favorable to it some time ago, really reducing its turn rate. We go for almost an obscure head-on there with whatever enemy fighter that is, and we managed to get some good hits into him. At this point, our speed is so low we're almost stalling out in our turns, and we're trying now to get some shots on the target. It looks like he's having a hard time keeping his plane in the air, but we want to finish him off as soon as possible, find the lead, take him down, and there is, what is that, an ME-410? Something along those lines. Two-engine fighter, and we almost got a chance at him too, and then the match ended. But that is about it. That's pretty much all of the War Thunder I've been able to play today, and I'm very aware that War Mode has launched, and it looks like it's going to be steaming for a while before the bugs are worked out. I guess 5 years wasn't long enough. This sort of seems to be the way things have been with what Gaijin introduces to the game, and not to be cynical or anything, but it's always healthy to have, well, realistic expectations. And I don't have the time to cover World War Mode myself. As you can tell, I'm pretty busy. This is about as quiet as things get around here when the girls are sleeping. Anyway, I digress. I got a lot more material coming for you guys, and I'm excited for what some of the people on the Discord have been working on. I've talked about it a few times, and I just want to encourage any one of you guys. I'm trying to put together like a War Thunder theater project where you do skits and jokes and things inside the game, and then record that, and maybe we could make a compilation with it. Who knows? But anyway, more on that in the future, I'm sure. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.